Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Off the Bench podcast. My name is Robert Sellers. Today we're doing a little week preview for college basketball during the upcoming week. Should be a fantastic week of basketball. I'm really excited about it. We're not going to waste much time. We're going to get right into it. Monday night, the only job that you have, if you're a basketball fan, if you're a sports fan, if you have time, if it's at 8 p.m. Central, Houston is on the road at Iowa State. This game should be phenomenal. It's that there are some other kind of good games on Monday night, but this is the marquee matchup. It's going to be so much fun to watch. It's going to be going nuts over there in Ames, Iowa. They just knocked off Kansas, and those students are just going crazy right now, and rightfully so. I think this is going to be an amazing, amazing basketball team. It's really strength on strength if you look at it. I mean, Houston's on a 6-game win streak. They've won 17 of their last 18. They are, for my money, the best team in college basketball right now. I know Michigan's fantastic. I get it. They're the best, highest rated efficiency team in the country. They've been absolutely pummeling teams. We're going to talk about them in a minute. But this Houston team is absolutely phenomenal. Their defense is just all over the place. Kingston Flemings and Chris Senac, the two freshmen, are getting better and better and better. Both Kingston Flemings and Emmanuel Sharp's shot making has been fantastic late in games for the Cougars. And I think they are playing great basketball, and they haven't lost a true road game all year long. And they're playing in one of the best conferences, if not the best conference in college basketball, in the Big 12. But they're taking on Iowa State. And Iowa State's had a really interesting past week. They lost at TCU on, I believe it was Wednesday night of last week. That was a bad loss for the Cyclones. Taman Lipsey took it personally. Josh Jefferson took it personally. They had like 18 turnovers. They played really bad, and they were mad. And you could tell they were really mad because on Saturday, they got college game day in town. The Kansas Jayhawks were in their building, and Iowa State absolutely dismantled the Jayhawks 74-56 and cemented themselves as one of the best teams in the Big 12, something that a lot of people were doubting. I've heard a lot of people say, I don't know about Iowa State. I know Houston's elite. I know Arizona's great. I know Michigan's good. I know Duke is amazing, but Iowa State, I don't know. I don't quite know. In my opinion, they put all of those rumors to rest on Saturday with a resounding victory over Kansas. This defense is phenomenal. It is slept on. They attack ball screens. They're ferocious. They don't let you get anything easy. To me, all that it comes down to Iowa State is, are we going to turn the ball over and give you points? And if we're going to do that, then you're going to have a chance to win. But if we don't turn the ball over, if Taman Lipsey's on, if Milan Momcilovic is playing like the most efficient player in college basketball, like he is, if Josh Jefferson's scoring from the post and defending at a high level, you're not going to score on Iowa State. And you're not going to beat Iowa State, especially in their building. So we got that strength of Houston's defense, how well it's coached, how great their condition, and how well they play together as a team, against the strength of Iowa State's defense, how well they're coached, how great they play together as a team. I think it's going to be an awesome matchup in front of an awesome environment. Cannot wait to watch this one. It's number 1 in the Big 12 against number 3 in the Big 12. I can't say much more than that. It's going to be an amazing game. And if you're a sports fan, if you enjoy watching sports, if you enjoy watching basketball, please have this turn on your television at 8 p.m. Central Time, because it really is going to be a fantastic game. In my opinion, I think the Cougars are going to be a little too much for them. I think they're going to force turnovers. Iowa State is 98th in turnover rate per Bar Torvik. Houston is 5th in turnover rate defensively. So Houston forces turnovers at a really, really high rate. And that's something that Iowa State has sort of been vulnerable to over the course of this season. So I'm taking the Cougars to go on the road into Ames, Iowa, and to prove why they are the best team in the Big 12. And they'll get another chance to prove that against Arizona on Saturday. That's going to be an amazing game, too. So shout out the Big 12 for being an awesome conference this year and for giving us just some fantastic basketball. So that's Monday night. Monday night, this is pretty much your only job, to watch Houston, Iowa State. Tuesday night, we've got so many good games to watch. I mean, it's insane. I had to make 2 slides for the amount of good games that are going to be on Tuesday night. This is slide 1. That's slide 2. It's going to be so amazing. It starts at 5:30 with the best game of the night. Michigan is going on the road to Purdue. Michigan has been an absolute buzzsaw. I mean, they have been so good for the entire year. They're 24-1. They're the best team efficiently in college basketball. If you look at any predictive metric, whether it's KenPom, whether it's Torvik, whether it's any of the other ones, Michigan is number 1 in the country all across the board. And they are finally number 1 in the country in the AP poll. It's the first time all year that the Wolverines have been number one in the AP poll, which is kind of hard to believe. And the first time they've been number one since 2013. And then this Michigan team has just been crushing teams. They have 10 wins of 12 plus points versus tournament teams. So they're not just slumming up on the poor, and they're not just barely winning against good teams. They are absolutely destroying the best teams in college basketball. They smoked Gonzaga. They smoked Auburn. They just beat UCLA by 30. They have big time wins over Ohio State, Michigan State. They've just been beating so many good teams. But the only thing Michigan hasn't had to do this year, or one of the things they haven't had to do, is go on the road into Mackey Arena. And if you've ever been to Mackey Arena, I haven't myself, but I've heard many a tale about how hard that place is to play in. And they haven't faced a guy like Braden Smith, a guy with his experience, with his caliber, with his resume. And this is going to be an amazing game. I'm really excited to watch it because Purdue has Braden Smith and because of his greatness. They're really good offensively. They're efficient. They don't turn the ball over because they just run everything through perhaps the best point guard in college basketball. And Michigan's defense has been locked down all year. So we have strength on strength there with Purdue's offense, how good they are, and Michigan's defense, how great they are at stopping good offenses. It should be really fun to watch. I also just see, in my opinion, I think the battle of the front court is going to be one that's going to be really fun to watch. Michigan's front court has been so good all year long, and they're dominant. Adai Mara sitting in the middle of the field or the middle of the court at 7'3" every single play, just stifling everything. Not only is he one of the best defensive players in college basketball, but he's also one of the best transition passers in college basketball with his patented football pass as he grabs many rebounds off the board defensively. Moraes Johnson has been getting better and better every single game. Big Yaxel Lindenborg, we all know how good he is. I mean, this Michigan front court is part of what makes them so great, but they have to go up against Trey Kaufman-Renn and Oscar Clough, who have been single-handedly dismantling top 10 teams such as Nebraska. So this is going to be so much fun to watch which front court dominates the other. Who's going to win the rebounding edge? Who's going to get more second chance points? Who's going to stifle the other in the paint? Because statistically, Purdue's a better rebounding team than Michigan. But I find it hard to believe that anybody can win the battle in the paint against Michigan unless maybe you're the Florida Gators. So I think this game is going to be awesome. To me, personally, I'm winning the Michigan Wolverines. I think Michigan's going to go on the road and win this game in Mackey for a couple reasons. But the main reason is because Michigan, their roster is so deep. They don't rely on one or two guys to score so much a game to carry their offense. That's not what they do. Yaxel Lindenborg's great, but he averages like 14 points a game. They don't need him to go crazy for them to have a good offensive game. They have 8 dudes averaging 7 or more points. That's big Yaxel Lindenborg, big Moraes Johnson, who again is getting better and better, scoring in the post. Adai Mara, who pretty much gets all his points off of second chance buckets because he's 7'3". Elliot Cadeau, who's been playing much better. His shot making late in games has been very impressive. Trey McKinney, who's been money from 3. Namari Burnett, who's been money from 3. And so have LJ Kason and Robbie Gale. It seems like if Michigan ever needs to bounce back in a game, for example, when they're playing against Purdue, if Trey Kaufman-Renn comes down and gets a big-time and one bucket, or if Fletcher Lawyer pulls up and hits a big 3, I have all the confidence in the world, just like Dusty May does, that any of his 7 guys can go down the floor on the next possession and answer right back on the road against a great Purdue team. So because of that, because of their depth, because of their front court, and because of the consistency of this Michigan team against great opponents, I am taking the Wolverines to go on the road and beat Purdue. But as that game is going on, which starts at 5:30 on Peacock, we've got another fantastic one at 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN, a huge rivalry game. North Carolina at North Carolina State. Of course, the main story on North Carolina recently is the loss of Caleb Wilson. He's still alive. I didn't mean it to sound like that. He just has a broken left hand, so he will not be playing for a large chunk of the rest of the season. Whether he will come back or not is still up in the air. We don't quite know yet, or I don't quite know yet, but he's definitely out for this game at NC State. UNC, man, they've lost their leader. They've lost their warrior. They've lost their bell cow, the guy they can rely on, the center of their squad. It's rough. You know, I really like watching North Carolina this year, that they had a huge win over Duke. That the fact that this happened the time that it did is very unfortunate for this team. So somebody's got to step up. You know, the boys got to pick them up. I mean, look at Kansas, for example. They've been with and without Darren Peterson all year long. And when Darren Peterson's not on the floor, they've had guys step up and play big in big time moments, like Melvin Council scoring like 36 against NC State. Whether it's Flory Badunga putting up like 30 double doubles to win games in the Big 12, or Bryson Tiller, the true freshman, making big time shots when they matter. Somebody's got to step up for UNC in these next few games against high quality ACC opponents if the Tar Heels want to keep winning in this conference. And they're playing against an NC State team that is going to be so hungry. They are mad. NC State has lost back-to-back games against the University of Miami and the University of Louisville, or I think it's Miami University. I don't quite remember. The Miami in Florida. So they're not mad, or they're not happy. They're at home. And in my opinion, Darian Williams is going to wake up in this game. I love Darian Williams. I think he's amazing. He was transferred from Texas Tech. He's been slow this season. He hasn't quite realized his full potential as a Wolfpack, in my opinion. But I think this is the game where he's going to cement himself as being back for March, which he was last year. So I've got Darian Williams having a big-time performance. Quadir Copeland is one of the most underrated point guards in the country. He was on an absolute tear in ACC play before they took on Miami, or before they took on Louisville, and then also Miami. So I think NC State's going to win this one. They're at home. UNC's depleted. Seth Trimble's got to step up. Dixon's got to step up. Visar's got to step up. I just don't think they have enough to go on the road and take down a pissed-off NC State team. So I'm going with the Wolfpack in this one. While that's going on, we got another great battle in the ACC between Louisville and SMU. A guy that has woken up is Michael Brown. My goodness. This freshman class is just such a beauty. I know that everyone's been saying that all year long, but that really is the biggest story in college basketball this year, how unbelievably awesome the freshman class has been. And Michael Brown is just an extension of that. He was fantastic to start the season, went down with an injury, was out a few games. Louisville really struggled during those games. Then he came back over the last 2 games. He dropped 46 points against NC State and then 29 points against Baylor. He's been absolutely on fire recently, and because of that, Louisville is starting to look like they were supposed to look at the beginning of the season, and it's sort of feeling like the Louisville Cardinals that we thought could be with Pat Kelsey, with this amazing backcourt with Conwell and McNeely supporting a superstar in Michael Brown. It sort of seems like this Louisville team is starting to peak at the right time. Now, the one thing this Louisville team hasn't been able to do consistently this year is win games on the road. They are 3-4 in road games this season, and they haven't really had a very signature win on the road. This would be a big-time win over a tournament team in SMU. I think Louisville's going to get it. I think Michael Brown has been fantastic. I think he will continue to be fantastic. And this backcourt and this Louisville team is peaking at the right time. They're going to be dangerous in March. You're not going to want to play them, especially if they get hot. This team can beat almost anyone, and I think they're going to go on the road and take down Boobie Miller and the SMU Mustangs. Another game at 6 p.m. This slate on Tuesday night is so good that TCU and UCF, which is a bubble game between two at right now tournament teams, got flexed to ESPN Plus. This game is going to be great. I couldn't even start to tell you what's going to happen in this game because TCU and UCF are two of the most unpredictable teams in college basketball. TCU could literally beat the Oklahoma City Thunder and then lose to the University of New Orleans. Like, that's legitimately the Horned Frogs. They've won 3 in a row. They beat Iowa State. They're so random. TCU has wins over Florida and Iowa State. They nearly beat Michigan at the beginning of the year. They should have beaten Kansas and Allen Fieldhouse, but they choked that one away. And they had a great game against Arizona. They pushed them to the wire. But then at the same time, they've gotten blown up by Colorado. They lost to New Orleans. What version of TCU are we going to get on any given day? Nobody knows. They are the most unpredictable team in college basketball. And they're going up against UCF, who is very cold right now. UCF has lost 3 games in a row to not great opponents. So they lost to West Virginia on Saturday, which was a rough loss for the Golden Knights. Can they bounce back in this one? I think they can. It's at home. They have some big-time home wins this year, including Kansas and Texas Tech. I think they're going to get another one against TCU, especially because of the front court. TCU struggles to rebound consistently. They rely on turnovers a lot to score points. UCF's front court is amazing. I think they're going to out-rebound TCU. They're going to get more second-chance points. They're going to be much more consistent that night. So I've got UCF winning a big-time Big 12 game over TCU and cementing themselves a little bit further as a tournament team. TCU is still on the border. Depending on who you talk to, they're either just in or just out. So this would be a huge road win if they could get it. It would be quad 1. I don't think they're going to. I'm going with UCF, but again, this would be huge for TCU to win. Then we got our late night games on Tuesday night, starting with UCLA at Michigan State, tipping off 7:30 Central Time on Peacock. Both these teams are reeling right now. Michigan State just got blown out by Wisconsin on the road. UCLA got blown out by Michigan on the road. I hate betting against Mick Cronin because I love Mick Cronin. He's UCLA's head coach. I think he's fantastic. But I am picking Michigan State in this game. It's at home. They've had some huge home wins this year, some great home performances. And UCLA has not been very good on the road at all this year. Also, Michigan State's just such a much better rebounding team. Very similar to the UCF TCU game. Michigan State's going to dominate the boards, in my opinion, and they're going to win this game. They need the win, too. I mean, Michigan State was like a projected 2 seed not too long ago. Now they've fallen all the way down to the 4 line. Some even have them at the 5 line. So Michigan State needs to start winning some games. So does UCLA. But I do think Michigan State's going to get this one at home against the Bruins Tuesday night at 7:30. Another big game at 7:30 in the Big Ten on Tuesday night. Wisconsin is at Ohio State. Wisconsin is one of my favorite teams in the country. I think they're so much fun to watch. The best way I can describe this Wisconsin team is gunpowder. Like they are literally gunpowder. They have the opportunity to explode at any given moment. They have 3 of the best wins in college basketball. They've won at Michigan. No one else has beaten Michigan this entire year. Wisconsin beat them in Ann Arbor. They also won at Illinois, and they just won against Michigan State by 20 on Friday night. So this Wisconsin team is so much fun to watch. They can beat anybody, and they have beaten anybody. I mean, John Blackwell and Nick Boyd might be the best guard duo in college basketball. Other than, there's some other good ones. At least in the Big Ten, this might be the best guard duo in the Big Ten from a scoring perspective. With what Nick Boyd and John Blackwell can give you night in and night out, if they are playing hot, it's gunpowder. Like, they cannot be stopped. And we've seen that time and time again. But they're playing at Ohio State. Ohio State needs some big wins. They are 0-8 against quad 1 teams. This would not be a quad 1 win because it's at home, and Wisconsin is not top 25 in the net. I think that's how quad 1 games are determined. So this would not be a quad 1 win. But Ohio State, they're borderline 2. In my opinion, they're not going to get into the tournament if they don't pick up a quad 1 win. This would just be a good start if they can beat Wisconsin. It would be a bad loss if they were to lose at home on their own floor. So I would like to pick Ohio State, especially because Wisconsin's so unpredictable. They could be one of the best teams in college basketball on any given night and also one of the worst. So I'm picking Ohio State because it's at home, but I would not be shocked at all if the good version of Wisconsin came out in this game and they smoked Ohio State. It could go either way. Speaking of teams that need big-time wins, the Georgia Bulldogs at 8 p.m. are going on the road to Rupp Arena to take on Kentucky. That'll be on ESPN. Georgia is very borderline right now, whether they're going to be in the tournament or not. They've lost, I don't remember what the stat is. They lost 5 of their last 6. That's what it is. And they've got to go at Kentucky. That's a rough draw for Georgia. I don't think they're going to win this game, but they need some big-time wins if they want to make the tournament. Kentucky is coming off the loss against Florida. If they won that game, they would have been first in the SEC, which just shows how weird the SEC is. Like, everyone was talking at the beginning of the year how bad Kentucky was. They were just overrated in the preseason. That's what happened with Kentucky. They did lose to Florida. Florida's the best team in the SEC. To me, that's very obvious. But this is a great opportunity for Kentucky to win against Georgia, to sort of bounce back. They should win this game. If they lose this game, yikes. It's not good for Kentucky. They already have one bad home loss to Missouri earlier in the year. If they lose this one too, it's rough for them. I mean, I'm not worried about them not making the tournament. I'm just worried about them being a first-round exit if they lose a game like this. So I don't think they're going to. I think Kentucky's going to win the game. This is a huge one for Georgia, though. If Georgia can win, that would be big time for their resume. Also tipping off at 8 p.m. Central, Nebraska is at Iowa. Nebraska has, of course, they started off like 21-0, which was unbelievable. Their best start in program history. They've been a little shaky since then. They have the loss to Illinois. They have the loss to Purdue, which was an unbelievable game. Now they're at Iowa. I'm so impressed that Iowa is even in the tournament right now. Like, if I'm being completely honest, because basically Iowa is Ben McCollum and Bennett Sturts, and that's it. Like, they don't have much talent at all outside of their head coach and their point guard. And yet they have positioned themselves to make the tournament. They're at home against Nebraska in this game. Iowa has not lost back-to-back home games all season long. They're coming off 2 straight losses on the road at Maryland and home to Purdue. So this is a big-time bounce-back moment for the Hawkeyes as well as for Nebraska. Even though Nebraska beat Northwestern this weekend, they're coming off some big-time losses. So this is a huge game for both of these teams on Big Ten Network. I'm taking Iowa, a little bit of an upset. Nebraska's still in the top 10, but I just think Iowa's been great at home this year. Like I said, they haven't lost back-to-back home games all season long. If they lose to Nebraska, it'll be their first time this season. I'm taking Bennett Sturts. I'm taking Ben McCollum, and give me the Hawkeyes to take down the Nebraska Cornhuskers over on Big Ten Network. And to wrap up a monumental, fantastic Tuesday night, Grand Canyon is on the road at San Diego State. Should be a great one in the Mountain West. I still think San Diego State's the best team in this conference. I've thought that even though they've lost to Utah State, they've won 3 in a row. They're still not healthy yet. Magoon Guath still has not played in conference this season. There's no timetable that I can find of his return. But when they get him back, I think they will prove that they are definitely the best team in this conference. They lost to Grand Canyon earlier this year on the road. Now they get him at home. I think San Diego State's going to win by 10. Grand Canyon's a pesky team, though. So if they get down early to Grand Canyon, it'll be interesting. But I think the Aztecs will pull this one out, which leads us to Wednesday night, which is also fantastic. It's not going to be as stacked and as loaded as Tuesday night, but there are still some awesome games. Headlined, of course, by Arkansas at Alabama, 6 p.m. on ESPN. This game is going to be fun. Like, if I were to describe one word of this game, it's going to be fun. I cannot wait to watch it. These two teams are so eerily similar, Alabama and Arkansas. They're 19 and 20th on Torvik. They're both fantastic offensive teams and not very good defensive teams. So if you like entertainment and you like, teams going up and down the court really, really fast, scoring a lot of points, not a lot of defense, this is the game for you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Both these backcourts are fantastic. They don't rebound very well. They don't turn the ball over. They also don't force turnovers. So it should just be some good, clean basketball. Very high scoring. The only thing with Alabama games that I don't like is sometimes Alabama gets into foul trouble really early because they play so fast, and it turns into a free throw shooting competition, basically. Happened against Vandy, happened against Texas, happened against Texas A&M. I hope it doesn't happen against Arkansas, but this should be a really, really fun game to watch. I think Alabama it's great that they're past the Charles Bediako stuff. Like, they just need to flush it all out of their system, forget about it, because that was a whole scandal that was around this program. I think it's good for them that he's out and that it's all behind them. Now they can sort of regroup as a team and sort of fight their next battles just as a team without the drama. I think it's good that he's gone. And then with Arkansas, they are still a great team. I still love watching Arkansas. I still think they have so much potential. With John Calipari teams that are really young like this, they get better and better and better. So I think we're going to see Arkansas peaking later towards the year like they did last year, like most Calipari teams do. So this is going to be an awesome one to see both where these two teams are at right now, because this is a very unpredictable game. I will take Alabama at home. I do love picking teams at home because I just trust home environments. And I'll take Coleman Coliseum to give the Crimson Tide a little bit of a push over the Arkansas Razorbacks. So that's the headline game on Wednesday night. Also 6 p.m. We got an interesting one in the A-10. Dayton is at George Mason. It's televised on CBS Sports Network. If you have YouTube TV, you can click over and watch it. The A-10 is awesome. I love watching the A-10. It's really, really close this year. St. Louis and VCU are right at the top. And then anyone else in that conference, I think, has a chance to win it if St. Louis loses. I do think St. Louis is by far the best team in that conference and by far the best team in mid-major basketball this year. But still, this game should be fun. It'll tell us a lot about where these two teams are at. I think George Mason's 20-4, and Dayton, I know, is 7-4 in conference. So it should be interesting. And then ESPN, after the Alabama game, BYU is at Arizona. Both of these teams are in big-time needs of wins. Of course, the main thing about BYU that you got to talk about has been the loss of Richie Saunders. I love Richie Saunders. It makes me so sad that he is out for the year with a torn ACL. And, of course, not a lot of people even know who Richie Saunders is, because the big talk about BYU is all about A.J. DeBonsta, and it's all about Rob Wright. But I would argue that Richie Saunders is just as crucial of a member of this team as DeBonsta and Rob Wright are. So him being gone eliminates a lot of their spacing, a lot of their set pieces, and he just hustles so much, and he's a great, great player. So no Richie Saunders, I think, makes this BYU team much worse. They're at Arizona. Arizona's going to be mad after losing back-to-back games against Kansas and Texas Tech. I think Arizona's going to win this one by like 20 points. But that's just me personally. If AJ gets hot, who knows? But I just think this game's not going to be close. I'm taking Arizona to win it at 8 p.m. Central on ESPN. Over on Peacock and then on SEC Network at 8 p.m. Central Time, Oklahoma State and Missouri have two huge games. They're both at home. They're both on the bubble right now. They're both cold. They've lost a couple of games in a row, and they are hosting Kansas and Vanderbilt. You don't get very many opportunities at this point in the year. If you're a bubble team, you get a big time quad one win at home to give your resume a big time boost. Oklahoma State and Missouri are both in that situation on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, and I think they both really need these wins. So to me, those games, Kansas at Oklahoma State and Vandy at Missouri, will tell me way more about Oklahoma State and Missouri than they will about Kansas and Vandy, because they both need those wins so badly. And if they can't get them, it's going to be really hard to rally the rest of the way to make the tournament. And also at 9 p.m. Central, similar circumstance for USC. They're hosting Illinois. It's just Illinois, in my opinion, is much better than Vanderbilt and Kansas. Maybe not much better than Kansas. Kansas is still great, but I think Illinois is phenomenal. So I think Illinois is going to pretty much easily win that game against USC. But if the Trojans could pull that off, it would be great for them. They are much more comfortably in the field, in my opinion, than Missouri and Oklahoma State are. Missouri and Oklahoma State are out as of right now. USC is barely in. So it's a big game for them for sure, but not as big as the ones for Oklahoma State and Missouri. But Wednesday night should be fun. Tuesday night is going to be the best night of the week, in my opinion. And Monday has got Houston and Iowa State. So that's all that I've got for the week preview of what should be one of the best weeks of the year in college basketball. Friday night's going to be loaded, so is Saturday and Sunday. I'll talk more about that later in the week. But thanks so much for watching. If you take anything away from this video, it's not that college basketball is the best sport in America, even though it is. But it's that Jesus Christ loves you. He died on the cross for you. He is real, and if you don't believe in him, that's okay, because he always believes in you. And loving Jesus is all about our actions. It's not about, who we claim to be or what we say we are. It's all about what we choose to do. And the choice that we should all remember to make all the time is to love one another. Whether it's a small thing, smiling at somebody when you're passing them on the street, or just doing a small act of charity, or whatever it is, holding the door open for somebody. Little acts of love are how we can bring Jesus and bring God into other people's lives. I am not perfect. I am not nearly perfect. I am a sinner just as much as anybody else. This is not me saying I'm better than anybody. I just want to tell you all that Jesus loves you today and tomorrow and the next week and the next year and forever and ever and ever. So if you're smiling thinking about that, that's awesome. If you're not, that's okay. There will always be time for you to accept Jesus' love. It's never too late. So with that being said, thanks so much for watching. God bless, and I will see you on the next one. Watch Houston and Iowa State Monday night. That's the last thing I'm going to leave y'all with. So God bless. See y'all later.